The Good Samaritan. Welcome to our channel that compares themes of the Gospel and Franciscan Sources. Today we talk about the interpretation of the figure of the Good Samaritan, as experienced in early Franciscanism. For a more complete overview of our human, cultural and spiritual proposal, we suggest you visit the website juvie.art. juvie.art. Luke 10 verses 25 to 37. To the one who asks, and who is to me neighbor. Luke 10:29. Jesus responds, narrating the story of the Samaritan. You must not pass by someone who is lying on the ground, but rather to help him, to take care of him. Because every person who is beaten is our neighbor, whoever he is. The poor man of Assisi received mercy from the Lord, and he had learned the lesson well, to apply its sine glossa. He reached out to everyone, starting with the most needy and marginalized of his time. The saint's encounter with the lepers constitutes a fundamental page in his existence, a crossroads that profoundly changes him, overturning the coordinates of his inner life. For them, he feels compassion and passion, willing to help them in any way, because it is the casket of the suffering servant. We read in his wonderful testament, "The Lord gave me, Brother Francis, to begin to do penance in this way. When I was in sin, it seemed too bitter for me to see lepers. And the Lord Himself led me among them. And I showed mercy to them. And as I walked away from them, what had seemed bitter to me was changed into sweetness of soul and body." Sources 1:10. In this way he goes among the lepers and lives with them, to serve them in every need for the love of God. He washes their decomposing bodies and heals their virulent sores. In fact, as he attests, the sight of lepers was previously so unbearable to him that as soon as he saw their shelter 2 miles away, he held his nose with his hands. But here's what happened. At the time when he had already begun, by the grace and virtue of the Most High, to have holy and salutary thoughts. While he was still living in the world, one day a leper appeared before him, he forced himself, approached him, and kissed him. From that moment he decided to despise himself more and more, until through the mercy of the Redeemer he obtained full victory. Sources 3:48. And Francis healed many lepers. In the city of Fano, a young man named Bonomo, believed by all the doctors to be a leper and paralytic, as soon as he was offered very devoutly by his parents to blessed Francis, was freed from leprosy and paralysis, and regained full health. Sources 5:64. As the Good Samaritan of the Gospel, the care he reserved for lepers will be transformed by the Lord's gift into power and effectiveness in healing illnesses of the body and spirit. He had a visceral compassion for these souls abandoned to themselves and lived to the letter the gospel of the derelict and the marginalized, loving with extraordinary predilection the Lazaruses of his time and beyond, transforming his disciples into students of compassion, according to the word. Go, you do the same too. Luke 10 verse 37. A crossroads that profoundly changes us and the coordinates of our inner life. After his conversion, Francis had actually experienced that the measure of love is not having any. Helped himself by Christ the Good Samaritan, he had learned to give in an overflowing and joyful way to anyone who asked for the love of God. He felt compassion and passion for the unfortunate, and was willing to help them in any way, because they were the casket of the suffering servant. visited by the Spirit before the crucifix of Saint Damien. Francis quickly became a visitor to the least fortunate, the rejected, the excluded, to bring them the joy of feeling loved and saved by the one who reunited heaven and earth. With the solicitude of resurrected, he transmitted the same mercy that had reached him, to the forgotten, to those considered sterile, bringing with him the good news. The sources say, he then went to a nearby monastery, where he asked for alms like a beggar, which were given to him as one would give to an unknown and despised person. He continued towards Gubbio, where he was recognized and welcomed by an old friend, who also gave him a poor tunic, which he wore as a poor man of Christ. Then, a lover of every form of humility, he moved to the lepers, staying with them and serving them all with the greatest care. He washed their feet, bandaged their wounds, removed the rot from the wounds and cleansed them of the purulence. He also kissed, driven by admirable devotion, their gangrenous wounds, he who would soon become the Good Samaritan of the Gospel. Sources 10:45. But Clare also loved to get up early and quickly to announce the Lord with simplicity of life. In fact, in the legend we find that she herself washed the seats of the sick, she cleaned them herself, with her noble soul, without shying away from the filth, or loathing the stench. Sources 31:81. And as a teacher of life for all the sisters, in a continuous journey towards Christ and our neighbor. She urged them to conform, in their little nest of poverty, to the poor Christ, whom the poor mother placed as a little child in a narrow nativity scene. And this particular memory, almost a golden jewel, she always keeps pinned to her chest, so that the dust of earthly things cannot find a way in. Sources 31:85. Luke 10 verses 25-37. Thank you all for your kind attention. We invite you to subscribe to the channel, to stay updated on our activities. If you liked it, leave a well done to support us. Subscribe, give your precious like, share with your friends, and comment too. Thank you, join us, and see you soon.